Pleasant afternoon to our valued customers and partners. Welcome to the Energy Outlook 2024, a webinar on the Interruptible Load Program, or ILP, and Power Supply Management. I am Marla Lagura, Relationship Manager from the Food and Beverage Industry team of Enterprise Industrial. Considering the increase in power demand, especially now during the summer months, ILP is certainly a sensible option for our business customers. Very relevant rin po ang ating webinar given the alerts we've had this week. So we hope that through this webinar, we will be able to update you on the power supply outlook for the upcoming months, how this may impact your businesses, and how we can help each other power through. And today we are very fortunate to have our esteemed guest from the Department of Energy or DOE to share with us vital information that the latest power outlook, as well as the guidelines on the ILP and its benefits, which can help address the tight power situation. It's certainly going to be an insightful session this afternoon, so please keep your mic on mute throughout this webinar. Feel free to type your questions and comments. We encourage you to identify yourselves so we can acknowledge you properly. After all the speakers have presented today, we will then proceed with our question and answer session, wherein we will try our best to pose and answer all of your questions during this session. Please avoid posting personal details such as your service ID number, address, mobile number, and the likes. You may also join the Viber group for enterprise and national government accounts. Make sure to scan the QR code being flashed on the screen so you can get instant access to news and information from Meralco. At since mainit po ang panahon, please ensure that you are streaming from a comfortable and cool area. And make sure that you keep yourself hydrated so that you can stay with us until the end of this webinar. All right, let's proceed with the program. To give us his welcome remarks, please welcome our Vice President and Head of Utility Economics from Meralco, Mr. Lawrence Fernandez.
Thank you very much, Marla, and good afternoon to all of you, our valued partners in nation building, and to all of my colleagues from Meralco. Please also allow me to respectfully acknowledge the presence of our key presenter from Department of Energy, Director Irma Exconde, of the Electric Power Industry Management Bureau. Thank you, ma'am, again, for graciously accepting our invitation. And thank you to all for joining us in this webinar, wherein we will share with you the latest long-term and short-term power situation and outlook, and how this will affect our businesses and operations. We will also be sharing the guidelines and importance of the Interruptible Load Program, or ILP, so that we can all work together to make the program more effective. Marla reminded us earlier to keep hydrated. We all know that we are now experiencing El Nino, and the DOE has actually been working with the power industry stakeholders since last year to improve the power sector's preparations and resilience against El Nino. These summer months will definitely be warmer, and we can only expect more energy usage in our businesses in our homes. And given what happened earlier this week, we all know that our discussion this afternoon will be very relevant and timely. 2024 will actually be the 10th year anniversary of Meralco's implementing the ILP. Bayanihan was our batik cry when we began partnering with you, our customers, to quickly ramp up ILP in the Meralco area. Bayanihan continues to be our battle cry this year, as we all try to do our part to mitigate the impact of El Nino on the power sector. Make no mistake, your participation in ILP has benefited millions of households, sparing them from more frequent and lengthy brownouts. Which brings us back to why we have invited you all here today. In the spirit of Bayanihan for nation building, I now invite everyone to listen to our speakers with an open mind and to participate in the forum with a collaborative heart. Maraming salamat po, and may we have a productive session. I now give the floor back to Marla.
Thank you, Sir Larry, for that warm welcome. And with that, it's now time to introduce our guest speaker for today. She has been working with the government for more than 30 years, including services at the National Statistics Office, the National Economic Development Authority, and the Department of Energy. She was the first representative of the Philippines in the Asia Pacific Energy Research Center in Tokyo, Japan from 1996 to 1998 in the formulation of the Asia Pacific Energy Cooperation or APEC, Energy Supply and Demand Outlook, together with other APEC member country experts. In her stint with these organizations, she has developed and enhanced expertise in survey operations, statistical analysis, economic and energy forecasting, including econometrics modeling, and energy and power development planning and policy analysis. She has also been involved in the various government reform initiatives, including, among others, the continuous involvement of the Philippines electric power sector reforms. She has also managed multilateral and bilateral funded projects for the Department of Energy. She has contributed to various publications such as the 1992 Philippine Development Report, Medium-Term Philippine Development Plan from 1992 to 1998, and annual updates of the Philippine Energy Plan and Power Development Plan since joining the DOE in 1993. She has also represented the DOE in various local and international fora on energy and power. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome from the Department of Energy, the head of the Electric Power Industry Management Bureau, Director Irma C. Exconde.
Okay, well, I'm here again. So Can you see me and can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
Finally.
Director Ice.
Okay. So again, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. To all the participants, as mentioned by VP Larry earlier, this webinar is very timely. This webinar on interruptible load program and power supply and management. And of course, the DOE would like to thank Meralco for this invitation to be part of this webinar, which supports the government's objective to ensure secure, reliable, continuous delivery of electric power services to the electric consumers at all times. We truly appreciate the attendance of existing and prospective ILP participants in the Meralco franchise area. And we are all aware how critical electricity is in our everyday life, since almost everything are powered by electricity. For this afternoon, I will provide updates on two items. One is the latest Philippine Energy Plan, which covers 2023 to 2050. And the second part, which is the relevant presentation for the succeeding presentation on ILP. ILP process is the power situation and outlook for 2024. Okay. So we go to the Philippine Strategic Framework. So the government strategic direction is anchored on the national government's Ambition 2040 and the 8-point economic agenda of this administration, with a focus on protecting family purchasing power and creating job opportunities. Correspondingly, the Energy Sector Strategic Framework is coined ARC or ARC, which stands for A, access to affordable energy, R for reliability and resiliency, and C for clean and sustainable energy. The DOE policies and power outlook are geared towards this direction. So we go now to the long-term power outlook. So I would like to highlight as part of the Philippine Energy Plan, the 2023 to 2050 long-term power outlook, which include the following scenarios. First is the reference scenario, which assumes the renewable energy share of 35% in the power generation mix by 2030 and 50% share from 2040 to 2050. The second scenario is the high renewable energy scenario with low offshore wind plus nuclear plus coal repurposing, or the clean energy scenario 1, which targets more than 50% of RE share by 2050 and incorporates capacities from nuclear and 19 gigawatt additional capacity from offshore wind and the repurposing of coal facilities. The third scenario is the high RE with high OSW or offshore wind plus nuclear plus coal repurposing scenario. This is similar to the first clean energy scenario, but assumes significant expansions for a 50 gigawatt increase in offshore wind capacity. Now we go to the resulting 2023 to 2050 power supply outlook for the Luzon region. Before we discuss the specific numbers, let me orient you first in the legends used in this graph. The red line corresponds to the total peak demand for the Luzon from 2023 up to 2050, and the black dash line corresponds to the minimum reserve margin, which is the summation of the 4% of the peak demand and the first and second largest generating unit in the grid. And this one is for the Luzon grid, which is 668 megawatts as of this time. Light gray bars represent the existing capacity. The other colored bars on top of the light gray correspond to the additional capacities or new capacity built, which were part of the results of the simulations. For the reference scenario in Luzon, the installed capacity should increase by about 4 times from 19,746 megawatts in 2022 to 80,781 megawatts in 2050. This includes the existing, committed, and new build capacities. Likewise, battery energy storage system should also increase from 72 megawatts to 2,438 megawatts by 2050 to support the stability of the grid, considering the large capacity from renewable energy. I will not discuss the specific clean energy scenario 1 and 2 for this slide, but let me just show the side-by-side comparison of the 3 scenarios in terms of new build capacity, meaning these are the additional capacities that we need from 2020 this is a 5-year interval, 2025 up to 2050. And then to support the increasing electricity demand and achieve the objective of this scenario, the Luzon grid will be needing 43,450 megawatts new build renewable energy capacity on top of existing plans and committed projects for the reference scenario. And recognizing the variability of RE resources, simulation is also resulted to additional of 866 megawatt battery energy storage system to provide support and stability in power system for the Luzon grid. And for clean energy scenario 1, the Luzon grid will be needing 66,806 megawatts new build renewable energy capacity. And then for clean energy scenario 2, the Luzon grid will be needing 85,070 megawatts new build renewable energy capacity on top of the existing plans and committed capacities. And in these cases, most of which are coming from the solar and wind resources. And then there are others from natural gas and also nuclear as part of the scenarios. Now we go to the second part, which is the short-term power outlook for Luzon. This is a weekly power outlook for 2024. But before that, let me briefly discuss the alert notices, which is necessary for us to have common understanding, because this is the trigger for the activation of the ILP on a particular day, as mentioned in the video that you have seen earlier. We also hear and read in the news the term yellow alert and red alert when it comes to power situation. And shown on screen is the representation, and this is also for our better understanding of the next slides on the Luzon short-term power outlook for 2024. So as you can see on the screen, we have here a bar wherein it includes the demand, and this refers to the peak demand of the day. And then the regulating, the 3 next items are the reserve requirement, which are the regulating reserve, which is for, I mentioned earlier, 4% of the demand. And then the contingency reserve, the first largest unit online, and then the dispatchable reserve, the second largest unit operating in the grid. Now, when we have all this, when the capacity is will meet all these requirements, the demand and the reserve requirement, we are in normal state. So operating margin is sufficient, and grid configuration allows for interruption and isolation of any fault current, and there will be no power interruption. Now, next is that when the contingency reserve is less than the capacity of the largest synchronized contingent generating unit of a grid, then we are in yellow alert state. And further to that, if there are further power plant outages, which are not forced outages rather, which are not planned, then we are on red alert state, wherein the contingency reserve is 0, generation deficiency exists, and there is critical loading. Imminent overloading of transmission lines or equipment is also one of the reasons for this. And with all these factors may lead to manual load dropping or simply saying rotating power interruption. So basically, that's the concept of these alert notices. Now we go to the next slide. So we have here the summary of our Luzon Power Outlook for 2024. Actually, what we do is we have a weekly presentation in our management committee. So the secretary is very much aware of what's happening in the power system on a even daily and even weekly period, because since last year the DOE has already prepared for the 2024 summer outlook, considering the El Nino phenomenon pronouncement by PAGASA. In this power outlook that I will show, this is just two of the many scenarios that we have, but I think this one are the important scenarios that we would like you to see. So we have here like the assumption is that all the power plants are operating based on their grid operating and maintenance program, meaning yung scheduled maintenance nila ay sinusunod nila. And if they did not follow that, we have an assumed forced outage also, which is the third column here. So the assumption here of 650 megawatts to 927 megawatts differs every day and every week based on the similar period of the past 4 years. So we use the average of the last 4 years for the same period. And we also assume that the committed power generation projects, meaning these are the new projects that are expected to come online during the period, will have their timely commissioning, and there's no transmission constraints. And the import-export or the submarine cable coming from Luzon is connecting Luzon and Visayas are operating as on its maximum. And the difference is on the hydro capacity because of the El Nino. So if our assumption when hydro is rated at 70% from first quarter to second quarter, meaning up to June, then we have no alert notices. However, we also have another assumption. What if there's zero hydro capacity during the second quarter? Then we will have red alert and yellow alert. Okay, next slide. Okay, here. So this is the representation of the power outlook in 2024 in terms of available reserve capacity, meaning the green bars represent the remaining capacity after the demand has been met by the supply. So, yung zero po dito, yun na yung na-meet na yung supply and demand, nag-meet na siya. Ngayon, yung horizontal lines represent the different reserve requirement. So, yung red po, that's on the red alert. That's if the green bar exceed the black line, then there is enough capacity to meet all requirement. However, if they fall below the yellow line, then NGCP will issue a yellow alert notice of the possibility of the rotating power interruptions. And if below the red line, then there will be notice of red alert and the power interruptions will likely to happen. If the initial assumptions are met, this scenario will result in no potential yellow or red alerts. So far as week 15, meaning last week, which ends April 12, that was last Friday, the hydro capacity reduction Luzon grid is up to 41% only, which still better than our assumption of 70% hydro reduction for this El Nino period. This slide, another scenario, as I mentioned, is consider the no hydro capacity, and we expect 3 yellow alerts and 4 red alerts from week 16 up to 22. So talagang We have already seen na there is a possibility na ang tight talagang supply is starting this week, but depende na lang dun sa situation. This one is on the hydro capacity, but I will explain later what happened this week, that it's on the forced outage assumptions that made the difference. Okay? This is because the actual forced outage that happened on April 16 was about 1,811 megawatts, which is way higher than the 771 megawatt forced outage that we initially assumed for this week. In addition, as you would notice in the previous weeks, the actual forced outages are already exceeding our maximum assumption, but there are no alert notices that happened in the Luzon during those weeks. This is because the demand during those weeks is not as high as what we are experiencing this week. We already reached another year-to-date peak demand last Wednesday. We are already at 13,222 megawatts. When our peak demand for the year, which we still expect by mid-May, it's 13,970 megawatts as shown on the top most of this chart. Okay. So what are the contingency measures to address this short-term power situation? There are a lot of policies that we have in the short, medium to long term, but we'll just focus on this short-term power contingency measures. So aside from the usual continuous coordination with ERC and GCP and IMO for immediate action of the power generation projects in 2024, to ensure the timely completion of these committed power projects, particularly on the approvals to facilitate the timely commercial operation, we have issued on April 4, 2024, an advisory to remind the electric power industry participants of their responsibilities, highlighting the El Nino scenario. So, nakalagay po doon yung detalye wherein we address the transmission provider, the system operator, the distribution utilities, the power generation companies, kung ano yung mga kailangan nilang gawin, which to make sure that their facilities are in a proper condition to be able to meet the expected output from them. And also, we have continuous promotion of demand-side management programs to mitigate El Nino impact on supply. And this is in the coordination, of course, with our distribution utilities, who are the directly involved in supplying electricity service to each of our consumers. So we have, as mentioned, this is the topic that we have this afternoon, the interruptible load program, which will be discussed later by Ms. Letty. Meralco also have their peak and off-peak program. And in general, for all consumers, we have energy efficiency programs and measures for the different electricity end users. Okay. So, as you may be aware, again, we go back to what happened this week. Alert notices on Tuesday this week, April 16, due to generation deficiency, as the demand increased with a high heat index, and that power plants went on forced outages as their power plants are likewise affected with very hot temperature. With this, Meralco did not have power interruptions until 4:15 p.m. and only lasts for about 1 hour, which is relatively much shorter period of time relative to the expected situation. This is an example of the vital role of ILP in times of power generation deficiency. There were alert notices also in the succeeding days from Wednesday and until today, but there was no actual power interruptions in the Meralco franchise area, according to Meralco VP Larry Fernandez. I asked him this morning whether there's an power interruption yesterday, and he said ILP is sufficient to cover whatever needed by the system of Meralco. So thank you very much to all of the ILP participants for your support and cooperation. And I just would like to, if I may, at this point, I'd like to share the excerpt of the exact statement of Secretary Popo Lutilla in his press conference this morning. And here it goes. He said, He wished to thank and commend all stakeholders for their cooperation in avoiding power interruptions despite the red and yellow alerts that were declared since Tuesday of this week. Alerts are given in order to inform and prepare all stakeholders, including distribution utilities, power plants, and the public, to help in managing demand and supply, which wherever there are thin reserves. As experienced in the last few days, NGCP gave timely advice on the red and yellow alerts, and this enabled, in turn, for the distribution utilities like Meralco and the large consumers to prepare for activating the interruptible load program whenever necessary. So that's this excerpt from the Secretary's press con this morning. And yeah, thank you very much sa lahat, Meralco, and your ILP participants. And with that, we call for your support and cooperation for the country's objective of having continuous power supply by participating in the ILP. And we can all be part of the solution to the power supply challenges. Maraming salamat po and God bless. Back to
Thank
you,
you very-
Carla. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Ice, for walking us through your presentation. No, notable are the contingency plans for 2024 and the long-term plans. Director Ice also discussed the alert notices na mahalaga nating maintindihan, no, para ma-prepare natin yung mga stakeholders, no. We have the normal state, or when the operating margin is sufficient. We have the yellow state, or where the contingency reserve is less than the capacity of the largest synchronized generating unit, and the red state, where the contingency reserve is zero, where it may lead to manual load trapping or yung tinatawag nating rotational brownout. And tulad ng nabanggit ni Director Ice, that our peak demands, no, nag-start na this week. And yung contingency measures natin to address short-term power situation is the continuous promotion of the demand-side management program, like the interruptible load program. Kaya mag-join na po kayo dito. And the peak-off-peak and the energy efficiency programs. Okay, for those of you who may want to have a copy of Director I's presentation, a recording of this webinar will be uploaded on the Meralco website. Once the link is available, it will be shared with all of our registered attendees. Also, if you have comments or questions about the presentation, please go ahead and type them on our comments tab. We will address them during our panel discussion later in the program. Again, we would also like to thank all our attendees for this afternoon. We are now at 377 attendees. Thank you very much for your time, and please stay tuned for the question and answer later on in the program. All right, let us now say hello to our second keynote speaker for today. We would like to take this opportunity to provide a refresher on the DOE's interruptible load program and how this can help us mitigate power supply deficiency in the upcoming months. She has been with Meralco for 17 years already and holds a master's degree in economics from the University of the Philippines School of Economics. As lead specialist, her team conducts policy research and advocacy on generation and transmission-related concerns in the power sector. In 2014, she became a member of Meralco's team that closely worked with the Department of Energy, Energy Regulatory Commission, and other power sector stakeholders for the implementation of the interruptible load program in Luzon. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome lead specialist of generation and transmission economics from Meralco, Ms. Leticia Sapina.
Thank you, Marla. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just share my screen. There. Okay, so can you already see my screen? All right. So good afternoon again, and thank you for joining us in this webinar. So with the red alerts this week, our ILP participants may be very familiar already with the notification and activation steps in our protocol. But this afternoon, we'll walk you through again the rest of the steps, and then we'll be providing some reminders that can help make participation more effective. So, but first, for our customers that are not yet familiar with the program, so ILP has actually been in place since 2010, but it was only implemented in Luzon in 2014. During that time, in anticipation of a potential power supply shortage, the DOE initiated implementation of ILP in Meralco's area. Sorry. So, what is ILP? ILP is a voluntary demand-side management program that allows customers to collectively reduce electricity consumption drawn from the grid when power interruptions are imminent. The trigger for ILP activation is NGCP's Red Alert. When ILP is activated, customers with large loads are requested to deload either by operating their gensets or shifting their business operations so that the available power supply can be consumed instead by smaller loads such as households and other small customers. So to join the program, customers must sign the ILP agreement. So as provided in the ERC's rules, the contracting parties differ for captive customers and contestable customers. So when the ILP agreement terminates if a captive customer moves to the contestable market and becomes a customer of ARES, and if a contestable customer switches from one RES to another. And the movement to and within the contestable market affects the total number of participants or the total capacity that is available for the loading. So as of April this year, Meralco has about 529.67 megawatt of capacity available for the loading. But there are 101 services in the contestable market with a total the loading capacity of 233.38 that have yet to finalize and sign the ILP tripartite agreement. So pag napirmahan po yung contract nila, their total the loading capacity will go back will be closer to what we had in 2016 when we had more than 700 megawatt. And then since its implementation in 2014, we've implemented ILP in Meralco 27 times. And with the continued support of the participants and their active participation, it has spared as many as 1.8 million households from rotating power interruptions. And as mentioned earlier, just yesterday, even if there was red alert, there were no power interruptions that happened. So as a refresher for everyone and introduction to our customers that are not yet part of the ILP, there are 5 steps in implementing the ILP. And the first step is notification. So in this step, Meralco will directly notify ILP participants through their contact persons of grid conditions. So if it's either yellow alert or red alert, and then the possible ILP activation. So during enrollment, the participant is requested to designate 3 contact persons. If there will be NGCP a day-ahead advice on yellow or red alert, so the participants through their contact persons will receive advice from Meralco. For example, 5 p.m. of the prior day. Upon receipt of the advice, participants are requested to immediately confirm their availability to the load as scheduled and their committed capacity for the loading. Now, if on the current day, the condition will still be either yellow or red, so participants will again receive an update on the grid status and then will be asked again if they can participate in ILP just in case it will be red alert. So the participant will still be asked to confirm their availability. And finally, if or maybe 2 hours before the schedule, if red alert still persists, then you will receive a final confirmation from Meralco. And again, the participant is requested to confirm their availability to the load. So some reminders for this step. make sure to provide the correct landline number, mobile number, and email address because we will communicate with you through all these channels. And second, depending on the level of reserves, the final confirmation notice may also be the first and only notice, no? Especially if there's a large power plant that suddenly breaks down. So for this, it will be an emergency ILP activation. And then always confirm your participation with Meralco. You can reach Meralco through the ILP hotline because this will be the basis for compensation. So we need to know if you are able to participate during the schedule that was provided by Meralco. The second step is activation. So during enrollment, participants can choose between two the loading windows that will capture the morning and afternoon peak of the Luzon grid. But you can also choose the flexible option for possible deloading in the morning or the afternoon. So some activation reminders. So if you will be using your gensets, to always ensure that you have ample fuel supply. Second, to deload immediately once instructed by Meralco during the schedule that was advised. And then third, depending on the level of deficiency and time of the red alert pronouncement by NGCP, participants may be requested to extend the loading or deload outside the preferred schedules. If you're unable to continue the loading during the prescribed loading window, please notify Meralco through the ILP hotline immediately and indicate the reasons for your inability to continue the loading. And if you have an estimated time when the problem is expected to be resolved. And finally, to switch back to normal after the prescribed deloading schedule, unless, of course, Meralco notifies you that or inquires if you can still deload during an extension of the red alert. The third step is determination of compensable kilowatt hour. So after activation, Meralco will read consumption meters of participating accounts at the same time as the usual reading for billing, and then the hours of ILP activation will be tagged. So the compensable kilowatt hour takes into account the actual load profile, the actual load profile on the day of activation. So it's this striped area in the chart, and the baseline consumption profile, which is based on the ILP agreement, and also 1 hour before and 1 hour after the red alert hours. So as allowed under the ERC's rules, participants that deloaded during ILP activation will be compensated 1 hour before and 1 hour after, to consider that it takes some time to deload and achieve the committed capacity. And there's also some time to go back to the grid. So, yun po. For example, the red alert is 2 to 4 p.m., then your compensable kilowatt hour will be computed from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. For participating contestable customers, the deloaded contracted energy will need to be accounted for in the wholesale electricity spot market. So to ensure the compliance to the BCQ redeclaration timeline, the wholesale customer enrollment form, or WCF, should be accomplished for Meralco's enrollment as a supply customer of the RES generator. So this enrollment process will be facilitated by the RES. And based on current rules, the process of BCQ redeclaration should be completed 7 days from ILP activation. So it's very important that the process for verifying the compensable kilowatt hour that was completed by the RES and the contestable customer, and also the submission of revised nominations to account for the confirmed deloaded kilowatt hour by the RES generator is timely completed, no, within that period po. The fourth step is billing. So Meralco will compute the deloading compensation based on the prescribed ERC formula and send to the participant and or the rest for verification in accordance with the respective timelines. So for captive, this will be within 7 days from regular reading date. And for contestable customers, the computation on the payment for redeclared PCQ will be sent to the rest within 7 days from the 26th day of the month. So as provided in the ERC's rules, so compensation is computed based on this formula that was provided by the ERC, and participants are compensated for fuel and maintenance costs that may be incurred during activation. So in the ERC's formula, the captive and contestable participant is compensated for the incremental deloading rate, which is the fuel cost in excess of the total electricity cost. So the fuel cost is based on the latest available diesel pump prices in the city or municipality where the participating customer is located. So it's the average for the previous month, and the loading compensation also includes a maintenance cost based on the rate that was provided by the ERC. So to illustrate, so we prepared a sample computation. So for example, the generation cost of fuel, if a captive and contestable customer are located in the same area, then they'll have the same generation cost of fuel. For example, it's at 65, and then given the the fuel consumption rate that was set by the ERC, then the generation cost of fuel is around 22 pesos per kilowatt hour. And then for the incremental deloading rate, the average rate will be subtracted. So if it's a captive customer, it will be your all-in rate. And if it's a contestable customer, then it will be the rate from your DWS bill. And the maintenance cost will also be added, and then the loading compensation for a captive customer will be paid to the participant, while for contestable customers, the compensable kilowatt hour payment for the will be paid to the rest. And then the settlement for the deloading compensation based on the ERC's formula will be between the rest and the contestable customer. And then the last step is settlement. So after verification, the signed conforme letter must be returned by the participating captive customer to Meralco within 3 days from receipt, and by the rest within 2 days from receipt. And then upon receipt of the signed conforme letter, Meralco will process the payment within 30 days. And then, as mentioned earlier, for participating contestable customers, the rest will be the one to compute the deloading compensation in accordance with the relevant agreement that is between the participating contestable customer and the rest. So some reminders for these steps. So for participating captive customers, to avoid delays in the processing of the payment, please submit your necessary documents. So for example, your BIR certificate of registration upon enrollment. And then upon payment by Meralco of the deloading compensation, the participating captive customer shall issue to Meralco an official receipt with authority to print. And then for the reses, to facilitate the enrollment of Meralco as the GenCos supply customer upon execution of the ILP tripartite agreement. So this is for PCQ redeclaration, and to ensure that the redeclaration of the compensable kilowatt hour by the GenCos is in favor of Meralco. So that's it for the protocol. Just a few more reminders on participation. So if there's a need to update or if you're interested to join, please finalize your deloading capacity and choose your preferred window, and also finalize the baseline load profile, and then designate your 3 contact persons for notification. And if you will be switching, please finalize the tripartite agreement with your rest so that you can be called again to participate once it terminates. So that's it. That's the end of our presentation on the protocol. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Letty. And that gives our over 390 online participants a clear understanding of how to participate in ILP. And those reminders are really helpful. It is very crucial for us to have more participants in the program to prevent power outages. Kaya we are encouraging you to join the ILP, and yung nabanggit kanina ni Ms. Letty that we still have 101 contestable customers who are previously enrolled in ILP to sign the ILP tripartite agreement for them to rejoin the ILP. And tulad din na nabanggit ni Director Ice that we've had yellow and red alerts this week, and we would like to sincerely thank all our customers who participated in ILP. Kaya nagpapasalamat po kami sa aming mga ILP enrollees and participants for really contributing to nation building. So can you show the screen yung mga ating mga nag-participate? Ayan. So thank you very much for participating. It really helps in contributing to the nation building. For bayanihan, kaya natin basta't sama-sama. Meralco is one with the Department of Energy in promoting or encouraging the enrollment to the interruptible load program. For Meralco customers, you may contact your relationship manager for queries. For those of you who may want a copy as well of Ms. Letty's presentation, a recording of this webinar will be uploaded on the Meralco website. Once the link is available, it will be shared with all our registered attendees. Also, if you have any comments or questions about ILP and Ms. Letty's presentation, please go ahead and type them on our comments tab. All right, so at this point, we will now proceed with the question and answer portion. Allow me to call our panelists. Mr. Anderson or Andy Ong Siping, the Head of Operations Management of Meralco's Competitive Market Group. Sir Andy? Yan. Hi, Sir Andy. Mr. Marciano or Shano Caldo, Lead of Manufacturing Team on Food and Beverage Industry of Meralco's Enterprise Industrial Team. Hi, Sir Shano. Again, Ms. Leticia or Ms. Letty Sapina from Meralco. Good afternoon again, Ms. Letty. And also Director Irma or Director Ice Exconde from the Department of Energy. Hello again, Director Ice. Again, feel free to type your questions and comments. We also encourage you to identify yourself so we can acknowledge you properly. I shall now read out the submitted comments and questions here. Let me just pull the questions. For our first question, I'll direct it to Director Ice. Question is from one of our participants, Mr. Ed from Ed Foods Corporation. Why are power plants shutting down during the summer months?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you for the question, Mr. Ed. Actually, it's not that it's shutting down. When we say the way it was phrased, that it's like it's the power plants who really intentionally shut down the power plants, but actually it's a technical well, especially on the thermal power plants, they are affected by extreme hot temperature. That's why the usual problem with these power plants is the boiler tube leak, because of the high temperature, plus of course as the power plant runs. So the different equipment are being affected by this high temperature. So we actually expect such, it's not only this time, but it's an annual experiences or observations that we have. So it's a technical problem of or technical nature of this thermal power plants.
Okay.
I hope I responded to the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ice. Okay, there's another question comes from Mr. Rodalito Manalo. I'll direct it again to Director Ice. This is already the nth webinar since its inception in 2014 for Luzon. What is DOE's long-term plan to address stable and cheap electricity supply, especially during summer months? With a follow-up question ng how many megawatt committed PP projects will online this year and next year? When is the interconnection of Mindanao to the Luzon Visayas grid? And when is the exact date of the opening of WESM in Mindanao?
Thank you. I will start with from the bottom up because that's the easier to respond because it's just a yes. With regards to the interconnection of Mindanao and to Visayas, to be more specific physically, it's already we already inaugurated that. Actually, it's even had the ceremonial inauguration in Malacanang with the president last March 30, if I remember right. No, earlier than that. I think it's mid-March or something. I just forgot, but it's already interconnected. And it's actually very useful for Visayas grid, the full commercial operation of Mindanao, giving excess 450 megawatts of capacity from Mindanao, maximum of 450 megawatts from Mindanao to the Visayas area. And the Western Mindanao is already in operation since last year po, the January 26, 2023. So operational na po siya last year. Ang hinihintay po natin ngayon, well actually nandiyan na rin po, March 26 po this year, yung ARCOA and JOP, the Retail Competition Open Access and Green Energy Option Program ay operationally commercial na po sa Mindanao. And then we go now to the other questions on the how many megawatt committed projects will be online this year. Actually, I can give you the number, but it's actually in the chart. If you look at the, sorry that I was not able to describe it, it may take long, but the boxes above the chart, those are the power plants that will be coming in. If it's colored green, those are renewable energy. If it's colored black, it's coal-fired power plants. If it's orange, it's natural gas power plants. So basically what you can see, there are renewable energies and coal only. So the large ones that will be coming in are coal-fired power plants in Mariveles. That's 100, well, actually 3 probably by the end of the year. The first 150 is already operational last March 15, and then the second unit's already in test and commission, and even providing their outputs already right now. So yeah, basically you can see it if you go back to the slides that I have. I don't have readily available summary here, but it's there.
Yes, and we will share with them it later.
Yes, okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Director Ice, for your confirmation and detailed explanation. Okay. I'd like to direct this next question to Ms. Letty. Ms. Letty, could you please share your insights on this? From BPO sector, if we participate on the interruptible load program, are we allowed to choose a day?
Yes, thank you, Marla, and thank you po for the question. So just to clarify, a while ago we mentioned that participants will choose a deloading window, and then we gave a certain hour from this time to this time, and then a flexible option, that a time for the whole day. But actually, you don't have to. It doesn't mean that you participate every day for that for those times. So you can still choose which day you participate, especially if on that day that red alert was declared, you have an event or you are unable to participate for any other reason, then it will be up to you because the program is voluntary. So it doesn't mean that if you if you choose a preferred the loading window that you will be required already to participate when ILP is activated. So the program is still voluntary. That's also why we ask you every time, every notice that we receive, and then we get your confirmation 3 times. Yun po.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Letty, for your answer. No, so it's voluntary. Now let's move on to our next question. This one is from Mr. Ed. Again, they inquire on The ILP is a band-aid solution, a temporary relief to reduce the demand load so that the limited supply can cover the other consumers. So what is our concrete and achieved plan to supply the looming big demand without the ILP? Director Ice, can you address this one?
Yeah. Thank you, Marla. Actually, well, I will start with it's not that we are depending only on ILP. As mentioned earlier, in the long-term outlook that we have simulated what will be the outlook if we have the committed capacities coming on time, and also what are the needed capacities on top of that. But as we the reality is that as we go through these projects, there are a lot of challenges. That's also the support that we are giving also to our power sector investors, particularly in the generation sector. Uh, Also with NGCP as a transmission network provider for their transmission projects to come online, helping them in the approvals and permits, because we know the challenge of having all these permits at the local and national levels. I'm sure Meralco is aware of that. And that's what we would like for our participants to understand, that we have these projects, capacities, but there are challenges in the process. That's why we need to have contingency measures like this one, the ILP, which is actually not unique to the Philippines. This is part of a demand side management and part of even other jurisdictions, the developed ones. They have ILP. They may have different name for that, but it's the same arrangement like what we are doing here in the Philippines.
Thank you very much, Director Ice.
Thank you.
Okay, as we continue, our next question is from Mr. J, and I'll direct it to Mr. Shano. They are asking, what is considered large load?
Good afternoon, Jay. Thank you for your question. I think you're referring to the capacity or the load for customer in applying for ILP. Considering that large load is preferably 1 megawatt and up. But if you really want, or your company really wants to enroll to ILP, please reach out to your relationship manager so that we could assist you and evaluate if the feasibility of enrolling you to ILP is there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sir Shano. I have here a question from MSDC Company, and I'll direct it to Sir Andy. What can our company gain in joining this ILP program? Is there any compensation?
Thank you, Marla. So thank you, MSDC, for the question. So this actually, the question actually goes for both ways, no, captive or contestable customer. So in terms of joining the ILP, really, I think this was already echoed by Ms. Marla, which is kabayanihan. So we're actually helping in terms of nation building. So yun po talaga yung aim po natin. So we're trying to, as also mentioned by Ms. Director Ice earlier, so this is basically parang demand side management. So we're actually assisting the grid pag nagkakaroon po tayo ng problems with any, let's say, insufficiency in reserves. So yun po, I guess, yung vision ng DOE program na to. And for your other question related to the compensation, I think this was already siguro displayed earlier from the presentation of Ms. Letty. But basically, yes, there will be a compensation, and the mechanics is ERC approved actually. So meron po siyang average costing ng fuel prices po natin from the 3 gas stations like Shell, Petron, Caltex. So meron pong ganong competition, but it's there po sa contract. So if, for example, you also want to participate, please feel free to siguro go through the contract. Na doon po yung compensation. And I think our relationship managers can clearly also help explain po kung ano po yung mga components na yan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sir Andy, for your answer. We have here a follow-up question of MSDC Company for Ms. Letty. If we join the ILP, can we get a discount from Meralco charges?
Okay. As explained po earlier, the formula for compensation in the ILP was set by the ERC, and instead of giving discounts to the participant, they decided instead that the participant can recover some fuel and maintenance cost in operating their gensets. So, ganun po yung mechanism. Instead of discounts, the participant will be paid for participating in ILP.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Letty, for your answer. There's another question come from Edwin Batun. I'll direct it to Director Ice. What is the frequency of the updating of power outlook forecast?
Okay. We have actually, as mentioned, we have an annual updating of the Philippine Energy Plan, which includes the Power Development Plan. So that's a long-term power outlook. But on the short term, actually, as I mentioned kanina, talagang we monitor daily and even hourly sa market yung nangyayari. So weekly, we have a MANCOM in our management committee meeting. We update based on the developments. So meron kaming weekly power outlook and may iba-ibang scenarios. So we update what is the actual and what is the remaining months or weeks for the rest of the year. Kaya mabilis lang kami kakapag-provide sa kung sino mang nanghihingi sa amin sa sa DOE because we have that on a regular basis, being updated based on recent developments on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you, Director Ice. This question is also for you, ano po. The government through DOE and ERC is pushing for the use renewable energy and electric vehicles for a green environment. But it seems that the solution for the current power situation or crisis is the ILP, where we encourage everyone to use ICE generators and banning e-bikes, e-trikes in certain roadways, which contradicts the mandate. What should we do now? Invest in more gensets and ICE-powered vehicles, both of which use fossil fuels contributing to air pollution.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of programs by the Department of Energy. It's not limited to ILP. There are this, for example, the solar rooftop for individual households. We are the net metering so we have those are renewable energy and sustainable part of energy transition towards a sustainable energy future or clean energy future. So yun po yung ating ginagawa in terms of pushing renewable energy and even energy storage system. So even combination of renewable energy and storage system, napakarami po ng programa ng government. Kumbaga nilimit lang natin yung discussion this afternoon on the ILP and anong naitutulong ng ILP. But if we read the Philippine Energy Plan, napakarami po nating comprehensive plan on the different sectors. So I don't know if we have time, but I suggest po we can provide you those materials namin, yung buong Philippine Energy Plan. So you'll be able to see na ang dami pong programa, ang daming policies ng government towards this direction. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Director Ice. And I'm very sorry that I will again direct this question to you. Could you please share your insights again on this? At what stage or phase are we already in terms of harnessing nuclear energy to complement our nation's power requirement? What's our goal in 5 years and 10 years?
Okay, thank you for that question. As I mentioned earlier, yung nuclear po is already part of the Philippine Energy Plan in the recent one that we have 2023 to 2050. This is the first time that we mention nuclear as an option and we have even targets for that. As I remember, the first nuclear that we are seeing is 2032. That's about 1,200 megawatts. And then there's another, I think there are 3 tranche of that nuclear target of similar 1, 2, 2, 4, and then 3, 8 as I remember on the latter part. So meron pong programa and nuclear naman hindi kasing dali ng ibang technology. Kailangan po ng mahabang preparation, especially community acceptance, 'di ba yung and then even the safety standards, siting kasi critical siya, 'di ba? So lahat po 'yon ginawa na natin. I think we started even earlier than 5 years ago, more on capacity building, discussions among concerned agencies with PNRI, with even in the education side, because we need to educate those who will be where the power plants will be located, and then communications with the communities. So malami na po tayong ginawa on the nuclear power plants, and we are targeting 2032, as I remember, the first. This is new, not the Bataan nuclear power plant, but we are looking at new power plant na more suitable to the Philippine setting, which is probably small modular reactors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Ice. No, I have your question from Mr. Paul. Hi, Sir Paul. We have 3 questions. For the first 2 questions for Director Ice again. For power outlook, there is a large addition to the power reserve for the coming years. May concrete plan na po ba to attract investors to invest regarding power supply? And for the
Yes.
next question, based on power outlook, so forecasted na po until May 2024, magkakaroon po tayo ng red alerts, Director Ice?
Okay, let's start with the first one. So, yan. Alam mo yung memory ng lola mo, medyo maikli na. So, isa-isahin natin. So, yung first one is...
Sige, Director Ice.
I was trying to follow here in the chat group, but
Okay.
wait lang. Sige. Okay, large addition.
I'm very
Okay,
sorry for
got
that.
it. Okay. There's a large addition to power reserve. Yes, definitely, because we are pushing for a target of 35% by 2030, and we are currently at 22.3%. So we need more renewable energy, and what we're looking at should be large capacities. That's why we are aggressively pushing for offshore wind, because these are large capacities, and we're targeting at least before the 2028 or 2028 itself is 2,000 megawatts. So with this variable renewable energy, including solar and wind, we need higher reserve requirement for those kind of technology. And we need also energy storage, probably instead of having higher capacity from other technologies. I hope I responded to the question. And then,
Okay.
yeah, okay, the second one is on the May. Okay, we have, okay, yeah, so, okay. Actually, nabanggit din kanina ni Sec Popo doon sa he already coordinated with other government agencies like the OST for the forecast of heat index. Kasi heat index talaga yung key dito eh. Once talaga sumipa yung heat index beyond 40, definitely the demand will also kick up. So yun yung we are looking at that for the forecast for next week. Kasi by Monday, tingnan na, baka mamaya mayroon na naman tayong alert notices. And the second part is he is also coordinating with for the cloud seeding. I think it's DA for Department of Agriculture for the cloud seeding in Metro Manila, just in case there's a need for such to lower the demand. To lower the demand, because
very nice.
once it rains, then the demand will
O kaya mag-rain dance na lang po.
Yeah, okay. So yun, actually, Sec Popo is so immersed on all this thing. He even called the generators to have their power plants go back earlier than expected. So these are the efforts that we're doing. We are all working towards making that the projected possible yellow or red alerts in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks until May, because Pag-asa was saying El Nino will be until May, and then June it will also start La Nina. So we're really focusing on this next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. So napakainit ngayon, no? Nagfo-44 tayo, no? So everyone, please keep hydrated, no? For the third question of Mr. Paul, for ILP po, for Ms. Letty, for ILP po, when you mean the loading, does it mean to fully disconnect from the grid and rely on own generators, or just load reduction and generator will compensate?
Okay, thank you po for the question, Sir Paul. 2 points po, no? First, when we say deloading, it can either be full deloading or partial deloading, and that will be up to you po as a participant. Second, whether you need po to use a genset. So it's not required in the ERC rules that you should have a genset to participate in ILP. After all, yung objective naman po is to reduce electricity drawn from the grid. So whatever means you can achieve that po, so you can either use a genset if you have one already, or you can just simply shift your operations. And if that results in load reduction, then okay lang din po yun.
Thank you very much, Ms. Letty, and it's all voluntary.
Yes.
Okay. As we continue, our next question is for Sir Shano. One of our difficulty before is compensation after we participated the loading on ILP. How can we avoid such difficulty so we can re-participate again, same last 2016?
Good afternoon. Oo. Siguro for the compensation, just to clarify, as discussed by Miss Letty, for captive customers, Meralco is the one processing the compensation, and it will be provided directly to our customers. While for customers under RES or already switched to ARCOA, the processing will be through the RES. So, but just the same, if you are in captive or on ARCOA, we suggest that you coordinate with your relationship manager if you think that there's a delay in the compensation. But I think, as discussed with the presentation, I think there's a minimal requirements to you to be submitted so that we could compensate your participation in ILP. I hope it helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Shana, for answering the question. Next question is for Director Ice. Nuclear power was mentioned as possible future infra. Is this really possible?
Yeah, I think I already responded to this, Ms. Marla, because preparations have been ongoing since more than 5 years ago. Thank you.
Yes.
Interagency nuclear, well, there's NEPIAC, Interagency Committee, and there's also internal implementation organization inside DOE. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Director Ice, I have here a question from PITX, or Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, for Sir Shano. We are experiencing fluctuations and this impacted our operations. The common reply to us is like this: every time we inquire, this may be related to your report. At 9:38, Parañaque trip out and reclose. How do we prevent these tripping out scenarios? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Oo. Uh, for this one kasi, just for everyone's information, Meralco is conducting naman a maintenance and kumbaga activities for us to provide or to minimize all the preventable reasons na para mag-trip yung circuit serving the facility. But for such cases kasi, I think this would be a special case na there would be a deeper analysis or deeper study para at least lang tailor fit din natin yung solution sa inyo. We suggest that reach out with your relationship manager kasi they may conduct PQ analysis, and somehow they could also provide you a explanation or presentation kung ano yung ginagawa ni Meralco to further improve the service doon sa area or yung circuit talaga, reliability. So, ayun, we suggest for you to reach out with your relationship manager so you could sit down and study and conduct a PQ analysis for this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Shano. No, as we continue, our next question is from Sir Wilfredo Junio. Hi, Sir Will. For the new power generation or nuclear, are we going to use the plant in Bataan? But I think the Director Irma already answered this a while ago na magkakaroon tayo ng bagong nuclear plant. But a follow-up question, is the facility safe? Director Ice?
Yeah, actually, yun yung isang consideration. Siguro, I cannot categorically, although parang ganun yung implication ng response ko, but at this point, kasama pa rin naman siguro yung possibility of this. But what I'm saying is, I think, because natanong na rin on, is it safe, di ba? Yan yung mga tanong na medyo talagang ano siya dahil ano ba yan, third or second generation ng original na nuclear. So nasa seventh na yata or eighth generation tayo ng technology. So those are the things being considered. So that's why I mentioned probably we are looking at different options in terms of the technology, nuclear technology that will be best for the Philippines by 2032. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Ice. Moving on for our next question for Director Ice again. How does DOE check maintenance plan of power plants? For example, must ensure that scheduled maintenance is done before summertime. If in case power plant failed to implement the planned maintenance and they cause the deficiency of supply during critical periods, what is the penalty?
Yeah. Thank you for that question para ma-emphasize natin. Actually, ganito po yung sistema dyan. Every November of each year, nagsasubmit po ang NGCP sa Department of Energy ng integrated grid, ang tawag po doon ay GOMP, Grid Operating and Maintenance Program, wherein naka-indicate na po doon yung maintenance schedule ng mga planta at saka ng transmission facilities para na-synchronize na nila what will be the optimal combination of maintenance of the generation and transmission na ang magiging result is we have enough capacity at least not to have yellow alert. Na-meet yung demand at saka na-meet yung dalawang reserve requirements. So yun po yung ideal. Kumbaga, tiningnan na po yun and that GOMP is being approved by the Department of Energy. Kaya nga po ang dyan, by the start of the year, malinis po yan, wala pong alert notices na nakikita. But sabi ko nga, minomonitor po namin yan every week, every day. So nakikita namin yung dynamics of the system. Minsan nagkakaproblema sa generation, sa transmission, sa distribution. So medyo komplikado kasi yung talagang supply chain siya. So our system is good as its weakest link. So pag nagka-problema ang isa, hanggang doon ka lang sa whatever being delivered by each of the subsectors. So ganun po yung dyan. Pero definitely meron po yung approval process at evaluation, submission, collection, evaluation, and approval process po ng maintenance. Ang nangyayari po kasi nga sa actual, hindi mo naman talaga masasabi na perfect yung mga facilities natin at the different subsectors. So yun po ang nagiging cause kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng deficiency at certain points. So yun po. With regards to penalty, ERC supported us with our policy on GOMP. They have issued in 2020, if I remember right, or 2021, yung resolution nila na yung mga planta have their individual allowable outages in terms of planned maintenance and in terms of forced outages. So if they go beyond that, they have a penal provision, I think, in that order, or they have to explain why they were not able to comply with the allowable forced outages and planned maintenance. Yeah, I hope I was able to respond to the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Ice. Napaka-init. We have a lot of questions lined up, and we will cover as many as possible in the time we have. For our next question, from Red Siason of Anglo Watsons, for Ms. Letty, would participating in ILP relatively reduce transmission charges?
Okay, thank you for the question, Sir Red po, no? So actually, if the premise is dahil bumaba yung demand, bababa din po ba yung transmission charge? There are actually other components in NGCP's bill on the transmission charge. So aside from the demand charge, meron din po yung charge on ancillary services. So dahil meron pong mga alerts ngayon, it could be that baka mas marami pong na-schedule na ancillary service providers to cover po yung any inefficiencies in, let's say, kapag may nag-breakdown na power plant, so may papasok po ngayon na ancillary service provider. So ganun po yun. So we can say for certain na dahil po nag-ILP and bumaba yung demand, bababa din po yung transmission charge because yun nga po, may iba pa pong charges si NGCP na part po ng bill nila.
Thank you, Ms. Letty, for your answer. We still have time for 3 more questions, no? This one is from Mr. Vincent. For Ms. Letty again, aside from heroic acts, can you provide theoretical computation of the peso equivalent of the benefits we can get in joining this ILP program? Our load is 2 megawatt. We need this to get the approval of the management.
Yes, so very straightforward naman po yung formula that was provided by the ERC, sir. So we just need to input po yung details nyo aside from the 2 megawatt load. There are other components, so we'll need to get po yung latest rate nyo, latest average rate, which will be used naman po to compute yung incremental deloading rate. So for this po, I'm sure your relationship manager will be very happy to assist you po in finalizing those computations for presentation po to your management.
Thank you, Ms. Letty. For next question for Mr. Shano, is compensation paid in cash or in the form of discount?
Hi, oo. Ang compensation natin is through check dun sa kung named after sa company na nag-participate based dun sa contract na napirmahan natin. Yun po.
Okay, thank you, Sir Shano. I think that will be our last question for today. Thank you everyone for placing your questions in the chat box. And for those that we weren't able to raise during today's Q&A session, our relationship managers will reach out to you so we can respond to these questions via email. And that wraps up our question and answer session for today. Thank you, everyone, and thank you also to our panelists and our esteemed guests from the Department of Energy for joining us today. And of course, thank you to all our audience for your engaging questions. We hope that this exchange was able to enlighten us all about the essence of enrolling and participating in the ILP. Remember, if we didn't get to your question today, feel free to reach to us, your relationship managers, after the webinar. And your inquiries are valuable to us, and we want to ensure that each one receives the attention it deserves. Okay, before we formally end, let me bring you the Vice President and Head of Meralco's Enterprise and National Government Segment, Ms. Maria Cecilia Domingo, for her closing remarks.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, Marla. Good afternoon to our ILP partners and customers here. And syempre from Department of Energy, Director Irma Exconde, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your explanations, very comprehensive, di ba? Maraming nadagdag, natutunan. And thank you everyone for your time in attending this forum. But most of all, again, thank you for answering the Bayanihan call for support on supply needs by signing up to ILP or Interruptible Load Program. As I always say, it's really best to join the ILP. Why? So because in case of supply shortage, Meralco will be implementing MLD or manual load dropping as discussed earlier. So when your circuit is interrupted, you will run your gensets, of course, di ba? But you won't get paid for running it, di ba? Because you are not an ILP participant. But on the other hand, if you will join the ILP, you will also run your gensets, but you will be compensated. Besides, you can get to run your gensets as scheduled and you are prepared versus dun sa MLD kasi switch lang yun dito sa amin na yun, papatayin, di ba? So actually for some, it's not even running their gensets. Nabanggit ni Letty yun kanina during the Q&A. It's not even running your genset, but even curtailing your load. For some, you can just stop your escalator, elevator, or even increase the temperature of some areas. Mga aircon ninyo, di ba? Pag instead na mga 20 na maginaw, medyo gawin ng 25, yan. So dun pa lang may load reduction na tayo doon. So you already contributed to easing the supply situation and yet you will still be compensated kasi pinakita din ni Letty kanina doon sa load profile, makikita yun sa meter, babagsak yung load nyo na yun at yung bagsak ng load na yun, yun yung kinocompensate sa inyo. So, dito ka ba sa hindi naka-enroll pero masasama ka sa manual load dropping, tatakbo yung genset mo, or dito mag-enroll ka, tatakbo yung genset mo pa rin pero may bayad, at yun nga, na-advise ka pa kung kailan, di ba? Nakahanda ka versus yung dito na biglaan. And then, for the smaller customers naman and small businesses, residential customers, they do not have their gensets kasi to support them. With you here, the big ones, you have own gensets participating and being compensated. So Meralco won't have to implement yun nga, yung load dropping. Hindi na kailangan mag-load dropping kasi pag load drop, the whole circuit yan, small, big, all customers na nakakabit dyan. And yun nga, the small customers, they do not have their gensets. So with your help, diba, and with Meralco and DOE, diba, our company, so even the small customers natin, nagbe-benefit, diba? Bayanihan, even yung sabi ni Larry kanina, bayanihan talaga to, so para sa bayan. So we continue to encourage you to join us in ILP, so para sa bayan to. And again, you can reach out to us through your relationship managers, and we're looking forward to more participants. So thank you again, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cecil. And with that, we officially conclude this afternoon's webinar. We value your opinion and hope you can share with us your thoughts on how to gain more useful information from the Meralco Enterprise and National Government segment. Please scan the QR code or click the link posted on the chat box to answer the post-event survey. If you have further questions or concerns, we encourage you to contact us, your relationship manager, so we can be of help. We also encourage you to join our exclusive Viber community wherein you can receive relevant updates regarding your business accounts. Just scan the QR code being flashed on the screen. And with that, this webinar has come to an end. It has certainly been a pleasure hosting this event for you this afternoon. Once again, I'm Marla Lagura, and good afternoon, everyone.